Well, hello there, guys, and welcome into today's video. So first off, I hope you guys are doing great. As always out there, I got quite a presentation I put together over the last couple hours for you guys here today, okay? This is our big series on the channel. We call it Millionaire Explains. And today we're talking about how to get your first $1 million and keep it, okay? This is something that plagues a lot of people out there in terms of like people that will get a lot of money, like not keeping it, right? We've all heard about the athlete that made $40 million in their career, and next thing you know, 5 years after their career is over, they're broke. And it's like, how is that even possible, right? Like, what's good is making a bunch of money if you don't have anything to show for it at the end of the day, right? So we're going to talk about this, okay? It's a 5, 10, 15, 20-year grind. That's the way you should be looking at it if you're trying to go after this. And keep in mind, most people aren't trying to become millionaires, right? And that's perfectly fine. Like, respect. Like, if you want to live, your life however, like, respect, okay? But for a lot of you guys, you want to become millionaires or maybe even multimillionaires, right? And so I'm kind of taking you through the process on how you can actually do it from somebody that's been through the process, from somebody that's seen countless other people go through this process. And I hope today's video is going to give you a lot of value. I just put this together over the last couple hours. I'm like, how can I give out a lot of value in this, okay? And you might have heard this said before, the first million is the hardest, and 100%, like by far and away, like that first million is by far and away the most difficult thing. Like I spent the first 9 or 10 years of my financial life getting to that first million. And then from the first million to second million, it was like less than a year. And from the second million to third million, it was like probably less than 3 months. Like things can increase exponentially once you have the system in place. And once you like start having the money, because the compounding of numbers can really rise quite rapidly for you, okay? So yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, you guys put in the grind, you put in the work, you're going to become a millionaire. I'm pretty confident, okay? Especially if you live in the developed world, the United States, somewhere like that has exponential growth in front of it, that has a ridiculous amount of money in it, that has a ridiculous amount of millionaires and things like that, okay? So I've been on Instagram in the past on the Explorer page, and I've seen posts like this before, okay? And it's like, sell 100,000 products at, $10, or sell 10,000 products at $100, or sell 1,000 products at $1,000, sell 100 products at $10,000, or sell 10 products at $100,000. And that's cool in a way, and it's bad in a way, right? So it's cool in the respect that you're getting to actually put the numbers to work and get to see, okay, what do I need to do to reach a millionaire status, okay? The bad thing with a post like this is not everybody wants to be an entrepreneur. Not everybody wants to open up their own business. And not everybody has something that valuable to sell that they can make $1 million off that. Also, on top of that, taxes. Taxes play a part, right? If you just make $1 million, you don't have $1 million. You might have $600,000 or $700,000, right? And then if you're selling a physical product, like you're not getting all that money. Like maybe that thing that, costs $5 plus $2 to ship. So maybe you're actually only making $3 off that, right? So I'm sure you guys, if you ever spend any time on any type of entrepreneurial like post or anything like that on Instagram, you'll see stuff like that. It's good and it's bad, okay? So today, what we're going to talk about is a 3-prong approach that you can do to reach your first $1 million, okay? And keeping it, okay? Having your first $1 million. Not just like making your first million, but keeping it. Having your first $1 million, okay? So I hope you guys enjoy this as always. If you don't mind, smash a thumbs up for me. Help our little teeny YouTube channel out, which I don't know if we're at like 14,000 subscribers or whatever, but it's a pretty small channel, so I appreciate each and every one of you. And also, if you guys want to join Stock Hub and chat about stocks with people from all over the world, it's absolutely free to do so. I should probably take a new image there, like 22,000 we were at there. I think we're over like 27 and 28,000 now. So let's get into this, guys. So the first prong of these 3 prongs up here is income-wise, okay? So income. Obviously without an income, you're not going to have a roof over your head. You're not going to have any money to save. You're not going to have any money to invest, okay? So obviously if you're thinking about like how do you get to $1 million, like income is going to be very, very important here, okay? Increasing income potential is key if you want to reach $1 million faster. If you're just going to be stuck, let's say making $30,000 a year for the rest of your life, I can say it's going to be very difficult to reach $1 million it's going to be very hard for you to reach $1 million ever in your life, okay? Just straight up. Never mind, it's just so unrealistic for me to see somebody that's making $30K a year get to a millionaire status unless they're like super old by the time they finally reach that number, okay? You've got to do things that will increase your potential so you can make more money, okay? And the big question is, if the difference between if you want to become a millionaire in 5 years and 20 years is a lot of times, how much money can you make? What's your income potential, okay? You always need to be learning new skills. You need to be focusing on new trends. You need to make yourself more valuable. That's the way you should always be viewing yourself. Like, how can I make myself more valuable out there? Especially if you're going the corporate route and you're not somebody that's an entrepreneur, you're not going to start your own business or something, that's fine. There's still plenty of money to be made out there, okay? I know in my organization, there's plenty of people that make really, really good money. And if you get in with the right organizations, you can make a lot of money. There's no doubt about that. But you've got to make yourself valuable at the end of the day. Because remember, you're competing against everybody else in the world for that job, right? And so the key is making yourself much more valuable, learning new skills, and focusing on new trends. That will make you more valuable to whoever's employing you, essentially, at the end of the day, okay? I always remember this I don't remember who said it, but I remember this, okay? It said, the person who does more than they are paid for will soon be paid more than basically what they do. And I always remember that one. I don't know if that was the exact quote, but it was something like that. And it's true. Like, if you continue to increase your skills over time, you're going to become more valuable. You're going to be able to search new opportunities or get new opportunities inside an organization because you just became more valuable, right? The people that stagnate are the people that are like, I don't want to learn anything new. I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. You're putting yourself at real financial risk. What if your industry all of a sudden just becomes like non-existent, right? There's a lot of talk about like robo-taxi networks. There's a lot of talk about self-driving vehicles, things like that. What if you're a truck driver, right? And what if in 10 years, there's no such thing as a truck driver role anymore? What if that's just all autonomy, right? Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. What if you're a taxi driver right now, or you're an Uber driver, a Lyft driver, and all cars are driving themselves in 10 years from now? Maybe that happens, maybe it doesn't. But what if it does? Do you have a new skill you're learning? The problem is a lot of people, they don't even start thinking about this stuff. They don't even worry about this, and they put themselves at a real big problem. Never mind, they're not increasing themselves over that amount of time, right? So it's one is about safety. One is about obviously increasing your earnings potential, okay? And so if you've got a bad job, my face is kind of blocking it there. It's bad job, okay? You have some options, okay? The one I left last here, that's actually the most important. If you're working at a job where you're not making the type of money you want to be making, ask whoever the next boss is up the line, what is it going to take for me to get a promotion? You need to be very clear. Like when I used to work in the corporate world, right? Walgreens, Quick Trip, some of those places, I used to ask, like, what do I have to do? What do I have to prove to get to the next position, okay? Like, what do I have to do to get promoted? And from there, you get to understand, maybe it's not even in the cards for you. Like, oh, we don't have any openings. Like, you're not gonna get promoted, and that's a possibility. Or it might be you need to do this, you need to do that, you need to prove this, you're not hitting your numbers over here, so you got to do this, and if you do this, you're going to get promoted, things like that. So right off the bat, like the people in front of you, they know you're trying to get promoted. They know you're trying to move up the ranks. And then it's like, well, you need to do this, or honestly, no, we just don't have it. We're not getting promoted, no matter what, essentially. So then okay, if you don't have that potential, go get another job. Like, there's a million companies that are always hiring out there, especially if you live in the United States, but even like worldwide. It's companies always looking for employees. And guess who gets picked? The valuable employees, the ones that have many different skills to add to a corporation. I mean, it's really powerful if you can apply. Let's say you're looking for a new job. It's really, really powerful if you can apply for many various jobs out there because you have so many key skills that companies are looking for. If, let's say, all you know how to do is mop the floor, you're not that dang valuable. Everybody knows how to mop the floor, okay? But if you can do some IT work, if you can do some social media stuff, right? If you can manage employees because you've done that, if you've done all these different things, all of a sudden you're really valuable and you can apply for this role at that company over there. Oh, they got an opening over there. You can apply for that because you have a lot of skills, okay? So it's all about improving your potential so you can go get a new job if that one you're working at just doesn't have that. From there, if you don't want to get a new job or you can't get a new job, which if you're increasing your skills, you're going to be able to get a new job just straight up. But if you don't want to go that route, start a side hustle. I did a video a couple weeks ago on a ton of different side hustles that you can make money on the side, even as a full-time employee of a company, or start a business. Maybe you're an entrepreneur. A lot of people think, oh, no, I'm not an entrepreneur. Why? Because you haven't done it yet? You know what I mean? Like maybe you are. Maybe you just need to try it. And a good way to try it is start something on the side. So, I mean, there's been plenty of people that didn't think they were entrepreneurs, and then they did something on the side, and then they found out they actually love it, and they actually want to be an entrepreneur. They want to be their own boss and those sorts of things, okay? So the best chance you have for $100,000 plus income, in my personal opinion, based upon what I've seen in my own life, throughout my life, and throughout a ton of other people's lives, okay? Your best chance for that 100K plus income, starting a business, okay? Working for yourself, being your own boss. That is your best chance to make that illustrious $100,000 plus job, or work, whatever you want to call it, okay? I've seen it even growing up with my dad. He tried used car sales, got nowhere with it. He tried selling commercial real estate for a company, got nowhere with it. He tried working for a pool company, got nowhere with it. He didn't break us out of poverty as a family until he started his own pool business. And then within 5 years of him doing that, next thing you know, he was making $100K plus a year. And he reached that illustrious number of $100,000 a year, which is really that number where you can start really feeling like you're in the middle class and you're doing well for yourself. It used to be viewed as 50K. I don't really view 50K as kind of that number anymore, especially if you've got a family. I mean, it's not really that number anymore. It's really about 100K or 100K or more, okay? I saw it with myself, okay? In my own life, I was working at Quick Trip, making 50K to, let's say, 60K a year. My best year ever in terms of taxes, I made $89,000, okay? And that was 2013 at that time. That was my best year I'd had, okay? But keep in mind, 30,000 plus of those dollars were from stock sales and stock gains, essentially, okay? So I was already at a place where I was starting to make, not as much money from stocks as I was Quick Trip, but it was getting to some pretty nice numbers, right? And that was my best year I ever had. You know what I mean? Still not getting to 100K. And it's because that job is it's a max out situation. And maybe eventually I get to another position, maybe it pays 70K, and then a bunch more years go around, and maybe I eventually get to a position I pay 80K. You know what I mean? And here you are, you're ticking off years and years and years, all to make maybe another 5,000 or 10,000. So that's a tough situation, okay? Now, 2014, I partially took that year off. I worked part at Quick Trip that year, and then the other part I kind of did early retirement, let's call it that. 2015, same exact year, or same exact situation where the entire first 10, 11 months that year I took off, and then I started my businesses at the very, very end of 2015. 2016, I get rolling, officially finally becoming an entrepreneur, my real estate marketing company in Las Vegas, my YouTube channel. And next thing you know, 2018 is my first year. I'm making 6 figures plus. I decided I'm going to be my own boss. If I can run a Quick Trip as a manager, I can do other things as well as just a business person. And gave myself that opportunity. And I'd be honest, if I stayed at Quick Trip, which Quick Trip was a really good company, and they promoted from within, and they did a lot of things. I'll be honest, the only way I was ever going to make $100,000 plus a year in terms of my total taxes filing was if, I was 40 plus probably, and I'm 31 here today. I would have to be 40 plus years old because it wouldn't take me that long to get to a position that was, high enough where I could be making that kind of money. Or if I was in a situation where I just kept making more and more from stocks. And, I was at a place where eventually I was going to start making more money from stocks than I was my own job, where I'm busting at 48, 50 hours a week at Quick Trip, right? So, when you start looking at it from that perspective, it's starting a business can be really, really powerful. It's not for everybody. And if it's not for everybody, then it's about getting promoted, seeing what realistic, or go get a new job. And believe me, you add new skills to yourself, you get better and better at this and that, you're gonna increase exponentially in terms of companies that will potentially hire you. Okay, so that's the first prong. Income's super important in this if you want to make $1 million plus and keep $1 million plus and have it. Okay, second prong of these 3 up here. Save the money, okay? Save the money. So you want to save a minimum of 20% of your income after taxes, okay? Keyword minimum, okay? If you're saving 30% plus, you're a beast. Beast, okay? So example is, let's say you have that $100,000 income. Awesome. You should be saving $20,000 plus a year, essentially, that you can go ahead and you got that in your bank account, and you can go ahead and move that money over to somewhere else, what I'll show you in just a moment here, okay? So yeah, you need to be saving. If you're not in a place where you're saving at least 20% of your income, you need to be asking yourself, do you have an expense problem or an income problem? It's one of those two. Heck, it might be both, okay? I've seen it before where it's both situations, but it's likely either you need to get your income up or you need to get your expenses down, okay? So remember those numbers there. Minimum of 20%. If you're 30% plus, you're beasting, okay? This next one's huge. Avoid high tax states if possible. Avoid them like the plague, okay? Especially if you make $100,000 plus a year. If you make 40, 60,000, it doesn't matter as much, but if you're making 150K a year, 200K a year, 300K a year, like some of you guys are, or if you're going to get to that place over the next few years, avoid those high tax states that are taxing your income at these ridiculously high rates, okay? There are many states out there with 0% income tax. They're not going to tax you a penny on that money, okay? And there's other states out there that are going to take 5%, 6%, 10%. And it's ridiculous, okay? Some of the examples of some of these states that, will tax you at 0% in terms of state income tax: Alaska, Florida, Texas, Nevada, which is my main residence, right? South Dakota, Washington, Wyoming. All 7 of those are phenomenal, okay, in terms of, trying to do what you're trying to do, okay? Pick one of those 7 and probably move to one of those places if it's realistic, okay? Once again, I'll hear some people and they're like, well, I really love where I live. I love living in Los Angeles or whatever. And it's like, okay, so you're choosing that over, this other goal. Then there's nothing wrong with that, but you need to identify that and you need to be real with yourself and you need to realize, I'm choosing this location versus these other places. And a lot of times you've probably never even been to these other places. You don't know. You might like it way better. You're like, well, I was born and raised in New York, so I always want to live in New York. How do you even know New York is where you're going to be happiest or the most fulfilled in your life? You haven't even gone to these other places. Like, one of the most powerful things I've ever done in my life is live different places. I was born and raised in Arizona, moved to Charlotte, North Carolina, moved to Las Vegas, and this is in my adult life, okay? And not just that, I've seen a lot of other places and kind of seen, okay, is this a place where I could live or not, okay? Really, really key. New Hampshire and Tennessee, they also don't tax your earned income, but they do tax investment gains, which for my folks, that could be very important for you because my folks that watch my channel obviously are investors, okay? So keep that in mind. There's plenty of opportunities out there for you to avoid those taxes, especially with this whole remote work situation. A lot of these companies, if you do work for a company, you're not even having to go into an office anymore. You can work wherever, okay? So yeah, really, really big there, okay? The tax man's big. Avoid any debt with interest rate over 5%. If you ever sign up for anything that's debt related and the interest rate's over 5%, you need to be like having bells and whistles go off and be like, let me avoid this. Let me try to figure out anything other than take out this debt. There's so many people that take out debt all the time at 8%, 10%, 15%, 20% plus interest rates. You're setting yourself up in a really, really bad situation. Interest rates are near zero. Like, if you're paying anything more than 4% on a mortgage, that's way too high, okay? Most people are paying 2 to 3% right now. On a car, you should be under 5%, okay? Like, never mind that, credit card debt. Let's talk about that. Massive amounts of people are in massive credit card debt, right? If you have credit card debt that accrues, that is going to destroy your savings in a massive way, okay? There's nothing wrong with charging things on a credit card as long as you're paying it off right away, right? And you get the points and stuff like that. But what happens to a lot of people is they take out credit card debt and then it starts accruing interest. And the next thing you know, they're paying the minimum balance, they're paying the minimum amounts, and likely whatever they're paying in is probably not even enough to cover that interest rate because a lot of these credit cards are at interest rates of 20+%. It's ridiculous, right? So yeah, that credit card debt that accrues, that is just awful, okay? Also, you can restructure debt. So just because you have credit card debt doesn't mean you can't restructure it to another credit card and get no interest for like 12 to 18 months. Gives you time to pay down that, okay? You can do things like, let's say you got an auto loan, right? somebody watching this that you got an auto loan and it's at a 14% interest rate. Go call some credit unions. Go start making some calls to some banks. You might be able, and you probably be able to, as long as your credit's gotten better since that time, you're probably going to be able to get a much lower rate, maybe down to a 7% or an 8% or something like that. And so you're making progress on that across the board, okay? And maybe even a lot better than that, all right? I've done that in the past. When I got my first car on a loan, I restructured that debt probably 4 to 6 months after and got a way better interest rate than I was paying before, all right? Don't let lifestyle inflation, creep up too fast on you, okay? Live a lifestyle that is below what you're making money-wise, okay? And certainly never live a lifestyle that's above where you're at. So what a lot of people want to do is they want to make $100,000 and live a $100,000 lifestyle, okay? Or they want to make $100,000 and live a $200,000 person's lifestyle, okay? No, okay? If you're making $100K, live a lifestyle that somebody would if they were making $40K, $50K. That's how you really save that money fast and put yourself in a very strong position of power financially, okay? Don't get caught in that. Remember we talked about at the beginning, the athletes or whoever, they make, crazy amounts of money, $30 million, they got nothing to show for it because they're living a lifestyle, at least what they were, making, if not way above that. They put themselves in a position of weakness when it came to financially, okay? Live a lifestyle well below. I still do that to this day. I live a lifestyle way below where I could potentially live it at. Because at the end of the day, you're not just putting yourself in a position of financial weakness, you're putting yourself in a financial stress situation. If, you're having to worry about that mortgage or rent every month, that's stressful. That is really, really stressful. You don't want to do that, okay? That was prong number 2. Prong number 3 up here that you need to do is invest the money, okay? And I want to give you a couple of tips around this if you're doing stocks or if you're doing real estate, okay? But this is so dang key. You got to have your money working for you, right? You got to have your money making you money. If your money doesn't make you money, you're working for the money at the end of the day, okay? And there's ways you can have money work for you, all right? So let's talk about stocks first off, okay? So first thing you could do is just invest in index funds, okay? Something that tracks S&P 500. You don't have to just do that. Let's say you want to own Chinese stocks, right? There's index funds that track, stocks in the Shanghai. There's ones that track tech stocks. You can do whatever you want, okay? Just the most common one is just something that tracks S&P 500, the 500 biggest, U.S. companies, right? And you can just have a set amount go in there. Maybe it's $500 a month. Maybe it's $1,000 a month. Maybe it's $2,000 a month. Whatever you can obviously afford. And you just have that money go in there every single month. Boom, boom, boom. It gets invested, okay? That's one route. That's the easy route. If you don't want to spend any time or work, that's the route for you, okay? The other route you can go is what I do, which is individual stock picking, essentially, at the end of the day. Building out a portfolio of stocks that you have put your money in, saying, I want to buy Microsoft stock. I want to buy Apple stock. I want to buy Google stock. You know what I mean? So step 1, you want to find great companies that you love and understand. Okay. This is really, really key. Now I'm simplifying this all for you guys. It gets much more in depth if you want to do this on a very high level, but for time's sake, I'm simplifying here. Okay. Step 2, you find the ones that you love that are at the right valuation. You got to be able to completely understand the company and read through those 10Ks and listen to those conference calls and understand it. You find the ones at the right valuation. You buy those stocks, okay? The valuation lines up, the business model lines up, you buy it, okay? Step 4, if it drops, you buy more. And as long as you still love the stock, you don't sell off. There's such bad wisdom out there that, was fed to the masses for a long time that in a stock market crash, you sell your stocks. Or if the stock market's going down a bunch, or if that stock's going down a bunch, you got to sell that stock. No, okay? If it's a great company, or if it's a stock market in general, you buy, okay? You buy, you don't sell. It's just ridiculous, okay? As long as you still love them and it's a great company, all right? Step 5, you don't sell. So many times people want to try to time out the market and stuff like that. You don't sell unless you have somewhere better to put the money or you don't like that stock anymore. As simple as that, okay? As simple as that. Why do you need to sell out a stock you love? You know what I mean? It just doesn't make sense unless you have a better place to put the money. And if you don't have that better place, then why are you going to keep it in cash? You realize cash is being deflated all the time, right? There's constant inflation, so which means your cash is going to become devalued more and more over time. So why would you sell a great asset, like a great company, a great stock, just to try to time it out, like that's usually a very poor decision. It's very, very hard to sell and buy in, and then you start second guessing yourself, and then you're trying to time the market like in and out, and it leads to a lot of problems, okay? So yeah, stocks, it's literally as simple as that, but obviously it gets more complicated around figuring out the right valuations for companies, and obviously the work you kind of have to put in for individual stocks, all right? I have a really in-depth video that I put out on the main channel probably last week, because the public account, which is one of my stock market accounts, it hit $1 million, and that was one I started like a little over 3 years ago, and I give out some great tips in that one. So if you want to go more down the rabbit hole of individual stocks, definitely check out that video, and then I got a million other videos on the channels you can check out. Not this one, but my other two channels, Financial Education 1 and 2, okay? Real estate. So real estate can be phenomenal if you've already got a decent amount of money for yourself around, and obviously you got to know what you're doing in this as well, okay? So you want to save enough, plenty hopefully, to put at least 20% down on your first property. And I wouldn't really put more than 20% down because interest rates are so dang low. Like, why would you put down more than 20% when you can take out a loan at 2.8% or 2.6% or whatever? Like, it just doesn't make sense. But you want to be in growing cities, okay, that are projected to grow quite substantially over the next 10, 20, 30 years. You don't want to be in cities that are seeing their population shrink. That's just a really bad thing. You want cities that it's just more and more people are going to continue to move there and have kids, and like there's going to be a bigger and bigger population over time. The worst thing you could do is obviously buy into cities that there are more and more people moving away from, because those ones it's going to be harder and harder to make money over time because there's just less and less people, more and more homes. The rental values are likely going to drop. The real estate appreciation is not going to be there. It's just going to be a really bad situation, okay? And so you want to get to a place where the rent charge can at least meet the mortgage amount each month, hopefully within the first year or two. Never mind, over time you should be able to raise that rent higher because likely the rental rates in that market will grow, especially if it's a growing city. But at first you want it to be able to at least meet that mortgage amount you have. Never mind if you can do better than that. Let's say you can get an extra $100, $200, $300 a month, which in some markets you can do. Then you're doing really, really well for yourself if you can already be cash flowing nicely right from the get-go, okay? Not all markets are like that, believe me, but there are some out there, okay? And the powerful thing is you get real estate appreciation over time, right? In growing markets, real estate gets more and more expensive over time, right? And the cost to build a house and the land and all sorts of things, it goes up over time, right? And so you get this great real estate appreciation over time if you're in great markets. You pay the property off over time, right? Because at first, like 80% of the loan was, or the amount of money was on loan. Eventually, over time, because all that rent's being paid in, you get to pay off that mortgage more and more. Next thing you know, you own 70% of the property. Then, 80% of the property, 90%. Next thing you know, you own the property straight up, okay? And the rent cash flows will likely be way above the mortgage as years tick on. That's what's so dang powerful about real estate appreciation, other than just the fact that you're going to own that home 100% more than likely down the road. And that home's likely going to be worth a lot more money in 10 years and 20 years than it was today, okay? Now, the power of real estate investing, I've found a couple, good posts here, is like the leverage of money, especially at really low interest rates. And if you know what you're doing in growing markets, man, you can also take $100K and next thing you know, you control $500,000 worth of real estate. And hopefully, if you're in a growing market that's appreciating 3%, 5%, 7%, 10%, 10% might be a high number. I've seen it with some markets in the past. But let's say, between 3 and 7% a year. Oh my gosh, you're doing very, very well for yourself, right? Never mind that. Once again, you're paying off more and more and more each month. So you put yourself in a really, really strong position. So yeah, you can definitely build a very nice nest egg with real estate over time. As long as you're in growing cities where you know the markets, you know the communities, you know the areas that are really, really, good. And as long as you got plenty of money to do the down payments and still have savings around, still have other investments, okay? I think stocks are definitely the way that if you're an individual stock picker and you want to put in the work, that's going to give you a more exponential potential increase in what you can essentially have at the end of the day, long term. However, real estate is phenomenal if you know how to leverage money, especially at very low interest rates and you're in the right markets. that can be phenomenal as well. Okay, so I can never say anything bad about real estate. I've done pretty well in real estate just in my short time I've been in it, but I've been studying for quite a bit of time before I ever even started getting in it, guys. So anyways, hope you guys enjoyed this video. Hope you got some value out of it. If you don't mind, smash a thumbs up. Helps out the YouTube channel in a massive way. We got a little teeny channel, so I appreciate each and every one of you guys for being here. If you want to join Stock Hub, it's absolutely free to do so down there. Have a great day, guys. Peace.